and the melodious strains of Ben Richards' arrangement of the Doctor Who theme.
The melodious strains, yes, quite.
I don't know what I'm saying. I've never said words like this before, but yeah.
What I will. That is such. I've never had an introduction of that caliber.
Well,
in
there
my life
you
before.
are.
I thank you for that. There we are.
That's our new. Yes, it's very exciting. We've since our last couple of videos, we've got that theme tune, which is Ben arranged and made using computers. I don't understand computers personally.
Well,
and
but then with the addition of a Milo on guitar and hopefully in the future Jordan on bass. But the guitar, you can hear that is Milo Moran there.
Yes, well, and
added into various synth stuff.
But we haven't got Jordan on the bass because, for the same reason that this video is late, we were going to do this video on, when was it, 26th of March or something?
March, which was about 2 weeks ago.
Yes,
if not more.
Well, nearly more, yes. Because that was the 10th anniversary of Rose, the broadcast of the first episode of New Who. We were going to do this episode then, but Jordan's computer, something happened to it. We've no idea exactly. I don't know exactly what happened to it, and he can't tell us himself because he doesn't have a microphone. So he's just recording again today.
Jordan has returned to his original position, but he will be back in the future.
Yes, he will be back. We haven't demoted him.
Of course not. He's demoted himself by pure accident.
by losing his own thing. Yes, and we've got new artwork as well since our last video with Sam Davis, who's a good friend of mine, has done that lovely artwork that's on our channel and our Twitter and everything else. So so our aesthetic has gone up a bit since last time.
We should get T-shirts, I think, with that our logo on the front, and then on the back, like our photograph of ourselves. So people now, if when we go on this world tour, we're going to do.
Yeah, we want to go on a world tour and do this live on stage. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
just a sofa.
The TARDIS sofa. Yeah, of course.
We'll get the TARDIS sofa.
Of course, that was the last time we actually did a thing. Was the TARDIS sofa?
Yeah, the last time we did a video was the TARDIS sofa, but that wasn't really a Whovian vlog. That was just a.
No, that's the That's like a sub-genre of this
it's like a sub
program.
It's a thing where we actually meet in the real world, which is the real world is terrifying. We would much rather talk to each other via the internet.
However, we think we're going to do more of those in the future, I think.
If we can ever meet each other again. Certainly I live further away from Jordan and Ben, but they could do something together, definitely.
Yeah, when Milo's gone to Ecuador, me and Jordan are going to definitely do one, and there's a possibility that me and Milo may meet up before he goes off to Ecuador. We may go and stay in Cardiff again. There's something that may happen, and we could do another one then, perhaps. I mean, that's all speculation, but stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because Anyway,
so
we actually have a purpose today.
We do have a purpose today. We're not just here to it's the Whovian blog. We are just here to ramble.
We are here. This is our job.
That's precisely what we do. But at the end of last year, we did the Idiot's Guide to Classic Who, which was originally going to be the Idiot's Guide to Doctor Who. And it went on for so long.
Yes, it was such, and actually that was our first one of the new format.
It was the first podcast we did,
Yeah,
the first audio episode, which is
Yeah.
And we so we decided that for the anniversary, which of course we missed, but we decided that at the beginning of this year we would come back and do the rest of it. Yeah. So we did talk a little bit before about the War Doctor, but I think we're gonna start in 2005.
Yes.
And just work our way forward.
We are going to start at that very point there, yes.
The point that we just missed the anniversary of. I'm not bitter at all.
But we're here, we're doing it now.
Yeah, at last.
Yes.
So, Chris Eccleston, you didn't watch it, did you? You didn't watch Rose?
No, I only came to Doctor Who in David Tennant's first episode, The Christmas Invasion. So I missed Series 1. I didn't even know what Doctor Who was at the time.
Every Whovian knows you shouldn't skip 9, honestly, man. Well, allow me to guide you through the series then, because it starts with Rose Tyler doing her working in a shop, and then one night this strange man appears. The shop window dummies start moving around. Someone is killed, and he blows up the building to destroy all the autons that are inside it. And
we have seen this building.
We have actually seen the building. Yes, Ben and I saw it. It's actually in Cardiff, not London, but the episode is set in London, like many things in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
so he and this is his first appearance after 16 years that it was off air. So Doctor Who is finally back in 2005, and he initially this sort of new Doctor, the Ninth Doctor, with his leather jacket and his big nose and big ears and northern accent, is initially he's quite reluctant to involve himself with any people, and I think one of the first things he says is that he's going to destroy a transmitter on the roof with this bomb, and he says, I might well die in the process, but don't worry about me. So I mean, from the off, it's kind of like
he's in a pretty dark place at this point, isn't he?
He's in quite a dark place. He doesn't seem to care about his own life anymore.
No, I mean he thinks he destroyed his own people, didn't he?
Well, exactly, but we don't actually hear about that until he's the 10th Doctor. I think he doesn't
admit.
He says he doesn't. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure he doesn't actually talk about the Time War.
No, but this is the reason why. Until
exactly.
10, but the reason why he is so depressed is because even though he didn't actually do what he thinks he's done, which is wipe out his entire people.
Out that a lot later, but he believes that he's done that,
Yeah, because of crossing time streams and forgetting things when he regenerates.
But of course it was retconned. It was rewritten. Later it was gone back and changed. So actually, when it was written in 2005, he had destroyed his own people. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Look, let's just do this in a linear fashion, even though time is not a strict progression of cause to effect.
This is what I was going to say.
Even though that's
it's very difficult to do Doctor Who in linear. It's
well, there you are.
There we are. Anyway, sorry. Ninth Doctor is very grumpy, very depressed.
And he was quite dark, but actually with his companion Rose Tyler, he went around, he fought monsters in space, Charles Dickens, Find Your Biggest Fan, all that stuff, and he did all sorts. And the sort of big, we sort of get to see this Doctor really when he fights the first Dalek. He meets a Dalek. If you watch the episode Dalek.
I have. It's the scariest New Who Dalek episode of them all because it's a very raw Dalek.
It is very raw because he meets this Dalek for the first time. He thinks he's destroyed them all, and then he meets a Dalek, and he kind of does everything in his power to destroy it, and then of course eventually it. Oh, you go.
I was going to say, at that point, he must be really quite, he firstly, he thinks that he's killed his people, find that he hasn't actually succeeded in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Must make him feel, awful, because it's even in the tragedy of killing his people, he still hasn't managed to do what he tried to do so badly.
He hasn't actually succeeded.
No.
Yeah, I know.
He's failed in his sense, and I think that must have been very difficult for him to contemplate.
Well, exactly. But we see him as a very angry and a very sort of determined. He's quite a rough Doctor. He is quite, Yes.
Quite matter of fact as well, isn't he?
Yes, very matter of fact, and he has very amusing moments, even though he's of a darker kind. You know, that sort of character, which I quite like.
There's a lighter side.
Yes.
Absolutely. There is that scene in The End of the World, isn't there, where he sort of stands there and starts dancing, I believe, if I'm correct in saying. I've seen
one of my favourite scenes actually is in Boomtown, where Mickey and Rose are kind of flirting, and Jack says, "Oh, look at them, that's so cute. How come I never get any of that?" And the Doctor looks at him and goes, "Buy me a drink first." And Jack goes, "Oh, you're such hard work." And the Doctor goes, "But worth it."
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, that was the original TARDIS family, wasn't it? Really?
Well, exactly. Yeah, that was the first kind of
the New Who TARDIS family, which is in many ways, I'd say I favour that one more than 10 because I'm not as much of a fan of the whole romance,
Well,
which we'll get to later.
Exactly, but I do like having, you know, a couple of companions, and they all sort of slightly, you know,
yeah.
Yes,
it's nice to have more than two characters to deal with and to explore, isn't it?
Because they can kind of play off each other. You've got more. If you've got 3 relationships, it's more interesting.
And I mean, Rose was so caught up with Jack and Mickey in the first series that she didn't really have time to.
No, she didn't really. No, the Doctor.
Love the Doctor.
He was much more of a friend. As 9, he was much more of a friend than he was as 10.
Partly because I would say because of his distancing from other people as
he
well.
Was he was quite detached in some ways in that first series.
Yeah,
and there were a couple of Dalek episodes, of course, in that series because the Daleks come back in the final episode, and we kind of see his true colours because he builds a machine that will kill all the Daleks, but it will also kill lots of people on Earth because this beam is going to emit waves that will kill everything, kill him, kill all the Daleks, and it will destroy some of Earth at least.
Yeah, which
is something that he has made that call. He says, I think it's in the 50th anniversary. He says, she says, "I'm killing millions to save billions." How many times have you made that call? Yeah.
Yeah. Once.
Once, exactly.
But I mean, of course, this could have been twice, couldn't it?
It could have been the second time, of course. But he can't do it actually because even though he is the kind of Dark Doctor who's stepped out after the Time War, he is, you know, he's kind of it's sort of post-traumatic stress. You know, he can't be doing the same thing again and killing everyone again. I think that would have been
the Doctor's never for
to do.
The Doctor's never for the greater good. He's always for the good. Full stop. I think that's important to note, isn't it? Really, he couldn't bring himself to say, "Well, I killed all of those humans to save billions across the galaxy." In the same way, of course, in Genesis of the Daleks, with the Fourth Doctor, he couldn't wipe out the Daleks before they were created because he was aware of the fact that the species, and therefore and that's quite interesting, is that the Doctor's morality plays with his mind, and particularly in this first series we see that. But then I suppose in many ways he was kind of saved by Rose's ingenuity, isn't it?
Well, that's it, because we see him saved by the companion, because he's about to push this button and the sort of Daleks are kind of taunting him, and he just admits, he's like, no, I'm actually, despite all that kind of tough, hard man,
I can't do
jacket, short hair, he's actually a coward inside. He's you know, he hates what he's done in the war, and he just, no.
Yeah.
And then he regenerates. Like, Chris Eccleston was only with them for a year, which...
It's a shame.
It's kind of sad. Yeah, I liked him as a Doctor. He's definitely in my top 5, possibly not in my top 3, but he's he's up there. I liked him.
And what's more sad is the disgruntled relationship behind the scenes, the management, which has never been very clear, but he has expressed in interviews about how he didn't like the way things were run, and therefore that is why he didn't carry on. And it's very rare for him to give an interview about Doctor Who. He doesn't tend to want to associate himself with it, which is a shame, because in fairness he was probably the biggest actor of so far to have become the... Because most of the most of the actors who played the Doctor have never been big. Well, they have been well known, but they've never necessarily been big stars like Christopher had before Doctor Who, I suppose, in many ways. Although I suppose the exception would now be John Hurt, because he was he's a big film actor. Yeah. And of course,
and became Doctor Who. But yeah, Peter Davison again was quite big after.
He was in All Creatures Small before he was the Doctor.
Oh,
so he was obviously well known. And then of course with Capaldi, he was in the thick of it.
And in the Loop and stuff like that.
Whereas Tennant and Smith, before they before they were in Doctor Who, they were relatively unknown, particularly Matt Smith. No one had a clue who he was.
Just who is this child?
Yeah. Why is he the Doctor? And which was a big risk, but we'll get to that later. Should we move on to 10 now?
Well, we'll talk about 10, yes, because this was the first kind of regeneration of the new series, and it's important to note, I think, that's why I said to you at the beginning, you can't skip 9. The 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, the 12th Doctor are, much more recognised than the 9th Doctor.
Yes.
But none of them would have done it had it not been for Chris doing the first series and being as excellent as he was.
Yeah, and getting it to go off and be the success that it. I mean, it was fun at the end of the first series, didn't it? It was incredibly popular, and it survived a very early regeneration, which I think is quite amazing, isn't it? For a show to change so quickly.
I think he's the second shortest. Oh no, he can't be. No, John Hurt was with John Hurt and Paul McGann barely appeared at all. And then it would have been Eccleston. Then Sylvester McCoy did 2 years, and Colin Baker did 2 or 3 years. So but he certainly in terms of New Who, which is of course what we're doing today, he was in it for a very short time.
He did.
Certainly compared to David Tennant. It was an early regeneration, but actually, in some way, I would have said it was it was a good thing for the show, because it became very, very popular under David Tennant.
Yeah, it was very cultural. It was very almost soap opera in some elements, particularly with the love story between Ten and Rose, which I think probably attracted more of the Joe public than it otherwise would have.
Call them that.
Well, the Whovian community, we're quite a strange bunch. We're not normal people. I will have to stress.
Very true. We are not normal people.
Doctor Who is not Coronation Street, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for pointing out that difference there.
I wasn't sure if it was very clear or not.
I would have said, actually, that it's even more soap opera was the thing between the 10th Doctor and Martha, the subsequent year. That's even more soap opera.
It is.
Because
it's very unobvious, isn't it?
No, it's because she's pining after him and he's oblivious to it, and she's sort of, she's like, he won't notice me, and he's like...
That's the classic teenager thing, isn't it? That's the, I really love him, but he doesn't notice me.
He doesn't even know I exist. It's fangirl.
I suppose that's something a lot of teenagers can relate to, which might have been quite useful in that for the popularity of the programme in that series. Would have been that every teenage girl who's ever tried to go out with a boy will probably be able to relate with Martha and therefore empathise with her, which is quite nice. But
I like his thesis on teenage girls. Thank you for that. Enlightened.
No problem. Well, I know. All I'd like to say is that with 10, what's quite interesting, as much as his character is interesting, is also the variety of people he has to deal with, i.e. 3 companions, who, they are all so different, particularly Donna. Donna is
certainly different
so obviously different to the other 2.
Yeah, she doesn't have any particular interest in him.
No. She just wants to travel
they're
travel
just
the
the best of friends. Yeah, there's the most famous line, or one of the most famous lines she said, other than I don't know. I don't even know the stuff she says again. Was it? Don't make me go back.
Or all that sort of stuff. Yes,
all that stuff. Definitely one of the most famous lines she said is when she goes, "You're not." I haven't watched it in ages, but when she's first getting on the TARDIS with him,
he says, "I just want
a mate,"
and she
a mate, and she mishears it.
And she thinks 2 mate.
Yes, and
And she says, "You're not mating with me, sunshine." That's the one. Good old Donna.
Exactly. But, so the other 2, companions, he had a sort of love struck, like, Doctor, whatever, and she's just like, nah, she's very strong.
Let's go and travel the universe.
Yeah.
He's almost like a cab driver for her trip around the universe in effect.
Yeah.
But she actually talks to him, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I think if you think about Tennant's Doctor all the way through, it's very tragic because it's just sad story after sad story after sad story because he loses Rose.
In the first series, he's this. What's that thing? He's born next to her. Like the 10th Doctor regenerates in front of her. So he's, they're kind of very, very close to each other from the very beginning, from the episode you started watching, and they go through the whole first season. They're like inseparable, closest, all that stuff. And then he loses her at the end of his first season. And at the end of the second season, the Master dies, and he's once again the last of his own people. And at the end of his third season,
Donna
and Martha leaves, and then Donna leaves at the end of the third season.
And he can. The thing is with Donna is he can never see her again because if he does, he knows
exactly
he'll kill her.
As well. I mean, even after Martha left, he could see her again because she came back for a cameo role, subsequent series. Rose. Hey, she was locked in another dimension. She managed to see the Doctor again. But Donna, not a chance.
No.
You can't.
Yeah. There's a piece of fandom on the internet where I believe it's the 12th Doctor visits Donna in her dying moments.
I've read that.
And it's sort of, well, if she's going to die, then I'm going to tell her. And he tells her and reminds her of him. And then she remembers, and then in her dying moments, she's happy within herself of a life that she did live, and the many millions of people, the universe that she saved. That's a thing, and I think they should make that happen. That should happen in
I personally prefer the if they did it with Catherine Tate, she'd to make Catherine Tate up as an old woman, she'd just look like the old lady character from her television.
Actually, that would be quite funny.
Which would be ironic with Peter Capaldi as well, because the two of them are sort of an older disposition and swear a lot.
Yes. That is correct. If you get Malcolm Tucker and the granny from Catherine Tate's comedy show together for a comic relief special. Anyway, we're going off topic.
Fantastic. This is the Whovian blog. We're going off topic.
That's our trade.
That is indeed. We could put that on the shirts. Going off topic. Going off topic since 2014.
Oh, we are.
Wonderful.
Yes, and please send all hate mail to PO Box 177.
Yep.
It doesn't matter which city, because it's PO Box 177.
Any city, we will get the mail.
Benghazi, Cardiff, America. That's a city.
Yep.
America is a city.
America is a city.
Yeah.
The colonies, we call it.
The colonies. Oh, that's very, how quaint.
Dear.
It's probably something the Daily Mail would say. Oh, I didn't say that. No, it's fine.
Well, you see, normally we mention brands on this. Like when we do mention brands on the Whovian blog, we sort of say if we're not being paid to mention them, but if they would like to pay us.
Yeah, I don't think the Daily Mail would like.
No, the Daily Mail
wouldn't like to pay us to make fun of their.
I wouldn't take money from them.
No. Well, to be honest, I think they're there at the expense of the humour of the public, really, aren't they? More than anything else. They're
purely there to be mocked. That's their.
Yes, I think they recognise that no one really cares that carrots will cure cancer.
Have you heard?
Prices will cure cancer.
House prices will cure cancer.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the thing about? Do you reckon that every week they open the dictionary to a random page to find a new object, and then they flip a coin, and if it's heads, it cures cancer. And if it's tails, it causes cancer.
Yeah. What was it? Without me, I was watching. There's one on Top Gear when they were reading like the Daily Express, which is basically the same thing, and they were like, "Did you know carrots cure cancer?" And then the other one goes, I thought it was peas. Oh no, I thought it was house prices. And then it was like, I thought Diana gave you cancer. And then someone was like, oh no, immigrants is house prices, and then Diana is house prices. It's if it's immigrants or cancer, you will find it in the Daily Mail or the Daily Express. But what you won't find in there is the Idiot's Guide to a New Who, which we're currently doing, and I think we should probably continue talking about right now.
What an excellent segue you did there.
I know.
Truly impressed.
I'm pleased with that. The applause.
Good. You definitely won't find it in the Daily Mail, but if you do, we'll start attracting an audience.
Please write. If you find us in the Daily Mail, please write to us at PO Box 177 wherever we are.
Always.
Or our many internet dispositions as well. Thank you.
What?
We have several.
We have a Twitter and Instagram, Tumblr.
Basically, we have several internet
SoundCloud.
on the Whovian blog, don't we?
Yes, indeed, we have many outlets
on the internet.
Yes.
We occupy many cubicles of the World Wide Web, and we'd like to inform you of those. But the links will be in the description, probably.
The links are always in the description.
Of course.
Anyway,
we're on tech.
So
we're talking about
the
tech,
10th Doctor, it's just one tragedy after another, because he loses Rose, he loses Martha, he becomes the last of his own kind again, he loses Donna, and then in his final episode, he loses the Master again,
and all the time
he dies alone.
Yeah. With only Will as his last.
Will. And,
God bless him.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, in many ways, as much as he's lost, he has gained so much, because we see that he goes and
he sees
looks,
Jack and Martha and Mickey and all those people again, and he sees Rose before he met her.
I suppose the line "it's better to have loved and lost than to have never have loved at all" comes to mind when we think of Ten's reign.
Well, exactly.
That is very true.
And it was almost made for him.
Yeah. Maybe David Tennant wrote it himself on a windy
maybe
day in
Shakespeare
Cardiff.
wrote it.
Maybe
after meeting 10.
After meeting 10, yeah.
There you have it.
There we are.
And then he introduced Matt Smith, and I'd like to point something out, which is quite nice, because when Matt Smith became the Doctor, Moffat took over as the head writer.
It was like New Who. It was
New Who. Yes. New Who. Yes. The interesting thing is that at the end of Matt Smith, we will talk more about Matt Smith in the beginning, but at the end of Matt Smith's first series is Amy and Rory's Wedding, and that is the first kind of good ending to a series, the first happy ending since New Who begins, because every time at the end of every year, it's been sad, something bad has happened.
Sad or bad.
Yeah, and then at the beginning of Matt Smith's year, it's interesting. The Big Bang is the season finale actually has a body count in the negative, because people survived the episode who were dead at the beginning of it.
Really?
Amy and Rory's parents. No, not Rory's parents. Amy's parents, who were
parents.
Yeah, her parents were dead.
Who didn't exist.
Yeah, and they exist by the end of it. They're fine. So
yeah.
See, I'm not sure exactly, but there's an interesting fact about the 11th Doctor's regeneration, which is that when he went from 10 to 11, that was the first full change of cast since the 2nd Doctor regenerated. That is to say that in the previous episode he was 10th Doctor and his companion was Wilfred.
Yeah.
In the next episode, the 11th Hour, he was 11 and his companion was Amy. That change always, either the companion has changed or the Doctor has changed. Never
both.
Never at the same time, yeah. So the only time that happened before was in the War Games with when Jamie and Zoe left and the 2nd Doctor regenerated into the 3rd Doctor. So,
and of course we can't say. Well, I suppose could you technically say that was the same for the 8th Doctor though, because
the 8th Doctor didn't really have a companion, you see. So the 7th Doctor.
But he did technically have Grace for that one episode. Does that count?
But she left. Anyway. Whatever. Anyway, yes. So the 11th Doctor, yes. I was saying that I admire him for his ability to have very contrasting aspects to his characters. He's
yes.
He's that, was that you?
He could be. What? Sorry.
Is that you? That is you talking. Yes. You were just suddenly you were much closer to the microphone. I was like.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I'm closer. Sorry. Sorry, I'm completely stupid.
What a lovely depth of field. Anyway. Yeah. So he can be sort of jovial and childish, silly, and then in a moment be very dark and I admire that about Matt Smith. I mean, it's down to the actor, really. So.
Yeah, I think anyone who came into the role, firmly proved wrong. Because
exactly.
It was an absolutely fantastic absolutely fantastic actor, and he has really done a very good job in the role, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
you go.
Yeah, it was a very interesting. Of course, I mean, he heralded Dawn. No one knew who he was. People were uncertain. Doctor Who was a very popular program when he began, and I think to almost effectively start all over again, which is effectively what they did, isn't it? It's almost like a brand new show.
Yeah. There's a new runner, new characters,
new theme,
new TARDIS, new titles.
Everything was different, and I think
Moffat came in and went, right, we're going to change everything. It's very much like the Whovian blog in that respect. Jordan came in and said, right, we're going to change everything.
Change everything, but the essence is the same.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
That's the thing.
But
I think if you'd have just evolved it like what they've done from Matt to Peter, I think it wouldn't have worked after Tennant, because his reign was so iconic that if you'd have tried to make it in any way, shape or form the same, it wouldn't have gone well.
Yeah, I think when you have
crashed and burned.
It's like after Tom Baker left, so with Peter Davison, they kind of had to change it then. Well, not completely actually back then, but they did change it up a bit because Baker was so grand, he overshadowed everything. It didn't become, it wasn't Doctor Who, it was the Tom Baker show.
It was.
Even now,
he'd been there for 7 years.
Yeah, he's one of the more recognised, I would say, even still.
Yeah.
You know, even now. So yeah, exactly. I think I agree. They changed it, but it was the best thing to do at that point.
I mean, it really wasn't exactly as if it wasn't damaging for Moffat, because as a result of it, he has earned himself a credible army of haters. But I think in reference to the greater good, I think what has happened is that in any change as cataclysmic as that, where so many people were in love with David Tennant, it was, to be honest, this was, because this happens with every generation, is you love the Last Doctor and then you instantly hate the new one, and then by the time
weirdly that didn't happen to me. I was like, well, I'm not so sure about this new guy because I really like David Tennant. I watched the 11th Hour and I thought he's good. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it's not the same for everyone, but there's this sort of general consensus in a lot of people that it's sort of, that's how it works.
Yeah, but you initially hate the new guy and then you kind of grow to like him, and then no, don't leave.
Yeah, but for some reason, for a lot of people, Matt Smith era it never grew on them. It was always, but I don't ever think that was. I don't think it was the Doctor. I think it was the decisions that were taken, because of course in Series 6 they adopted this sort of 2-part strategy in this massive series arc with this big American storyline with the Silence, and I think part of the reasoning behind that was to try and make Doctor Who more accessible and more inviting to an American audience, who of course they are used to things like Breaking Bad and these big serial dramas that occur over there, and are on this much, I suppose, grander scale, and often are in this 2-part fashion that Series 6 was. And I think Moffat did try hard to do something that no one had ever done really with Doctor Who before, which was to try and get it to be liked quite, as opposed to just being something for a small group of, fans and Whovians over in America, was to try and make it as similarly popular as it is here. I mean, it's in no way as the same. In fact, I actually did an essay on it for school, comparing the popularity of it in Wales to the popularity of it in America, and it turns out, I think Series 8 Deep Breaths viewing figures in America are about 2 million, whereas about here they were about 7.5 million. So it is less. I mean, a lot less, considering there are so many more people in America. But
exactly.
I think he took big risks, and whilst I don't necessarily like all of the risks he took, I think it shows incredible bravery to do such a thing with such such a well-liked show and well-established show, try and make it considerably different. I suppose in many ways the experiment failed because, you know, we're back to one long series, and I suppose Moffat realised that was what the people of Britain were more interested in seeing, was a series that lasted for 13 episodes and
uninterrupted,
and that's sort of,
without a great gap in the middle.
But I mean, I suppose you've got to experiment at some point, and I think, you know, not every scientist will know that.
We did that here.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah, of course.
It would be hypocritical of us to say, "Oh, that Moffat playing around with the format of Doctor Who," because that's exactly what we did with Whovian book.
Yeah,
so.
and what we're still kind of still doing it, really, aren't we? We're not exactly. I mean, we're more, but with each new show comes a new thing. Like today with the theme and the title.
Well, exactly, but
the artwork,
I think,
isn't it? You know.
Yes, we've got but at the same time, I think we are getting much closer to how we want to end up.
Yeah,
where rather than we know we do have a definite end point in mind.
Yeah, but you are right. We have experimented, and I think I admire Moffat for experimenting, and I also admire him for having the courage to sort of inadvertently go, well, it didn't really work. Let's go back to how it was. But I mean, equally, without wishing to go forward to season 9, I am aware that the first 6 episodes are 3 two-parters, actually.
Are they? My word! I knew it was going to start with a two-parter.
It's going to start with a two-parter, and then the next 2 are a two-parter, and then the next one are a two-parter. Moffat has said that the 45-minute episodes have been so iconic or well-established that perhaps it may be possible that the next series of Doctor Who may just be two-parters. But the first half of the series is definitely all two-parters, and I believe one of them is written by 2 different people, which I think is quite interesting.
Russell T Davies was going to write an episode, wasn't
he? You know, there are rumours.
It's been rumoured.
I mean, I mean, we don't know at the moment, but
we should do a Whovian gossip program.
Yeah, we should. We need to do a season 9.
And I tell you what, we said. We were going to do. We said around Christmas that we were going to do an episode where we just went on fan sites and read the people's opinions, and then went, "What on earth are you talking about? It's nothing like that."
Yeah,
and I think we should. We haven't done that, and it's disappointing. I think we should go and do that. That would be an excellent.
Well,
so I think that's a couple of ideas for the future.
Actually, I think what we should explain is, of course, because the 3 of us are all in year 11 and exam. That it's unlikely really that we will see you or hear you or you will hear us until about June-ish. But in June we will
go away.
We will endeavour to do that.
Do a couple of episodes
as much as we can, because we'll all have plenty of free time. Well, Milo will be busy packing and getting jabs for
I've already had
gonorrhea or whatever. You're gonna get.
Don't be silly. I've already had that one. No, I've had 6 of 8. So.
You've only got 2 left.
Yeah.
What have you got left?
Next Monday. So.
What have you got left, Milo? Go on.
Another rabies and another hepatitis.
So you've had your typhoid, you've had yellow fever.
Yeah.
And it's just you. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, it's just those 2.
There we are.
Yeah.
So if I get typhoid, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So
back to 11 again.
Anyway,
away from disgusting.
Doctor, yes, he started off very strongly. His first season was very strong.
It was.
The second season was
experimental.
A bit experimental. The third season of his was definitely,
it was quite different. I mean, he had a new costume, he had a new companion in the second half of the series, at least.
Yes, and the splitting thing just didn't work. It was, so actually, the decisions, although we admire the risk-taking and the experimentation,
they were bad decisions.
They were bad decisions.
Yeah.
You tried, but you did.
You did kind
of
fail.
Made a bad call.
Yeah. But throughout all of it, we cannot say that Matt Smith played a bad day, did he? I mean, he was fantastic. And in all fairness, Arthur Darvill and Karen Gillan were both fantastic in their roles
excellent.
as well.
Yeah. So the errors did, you know, they slightly spoiled the series when actually the acting and the, I mean, some of the writing wasn't as good as some of the rest of the writing, but even
that's the case in all
exactly every series has iffy episodes. Actually, broadly, the writing was pretty good, I thought. Certainly at the beginning. Certainly, yeah.
I mean, it's not an era that I tend to watch back, but if I was going to watch back, I would probably start at Series 5, because I know that's probably the strongest place to start. Which is quite funny, isn't it? Because it's sort of, it's almost like as if it started off and then just sort of, it's almost the wrong way around. It should have started at Series 7 and been all weird, and then should have ended at Series 5, whereas it was very, very good in Series 5. But then in terms of its format, it was exactly the same as Series 4. You know, we had 3 two-parters and 1 long series. But, you know, after that, experimenting ensued, and it sort of took a downward spiral. Throughout it all, we did see a very peculiar Doctor, a very funny one, a very witty one, but equally one that was very dark and very sinister when he wanted to be.
Yeah, when he was given cause to be.
And as we probably start to move into 12, what I'd like to make note of is how we said that 9 was very grumpy and very depressed, so very matter of fact, and then he mellowed into 10, whereas with 12 and 11, and important 9 was distant from Rose, and then by 10 he was you know, loved up with Rose, whereas 11 is very jovial and almost practically in a relationship with Clara by the end. You know, they are very, very close. And however, 12 does the complete reverse and distances himself and becomes this grumpy, you know, isolated character, which is quite.
It's an interesting, change of affairs. Exactly.
And I suppose if you bring it down to the bare bones, what we do see in Doctor Who is 2 sort of more light-hearted, jovial Doctors, and then 2 sort of more serious. Distance, but then within each character,
But again, that sort of thing happened in the old days as well.
Yeah.
First Doctor was very grumpy. Second was quite lighter. Third was a bit grumpier. Fourth and fifth were lighter and funnier, and the Sixth Doctor was a psychopath.
Yeah.
And the Seventh Doctor was a bit gloomy.
Yeah. I mean, all fairness, the Fifth Doctor was quite dark at some points.
He had a very high body count in his episodes. I think we mentioned before. I would like to. Sorry, I was going to just
go on.
The 50th, because we said we were going to talk about that.
Yes.
Because the whole series really was retconned. Because all throughout New Who, the kind of overwhelming premise of New Who is that the 16-year divide was because the Doctor went off and fought in the Time War and killed all the Daleks and all the Time Lords, and he's the last of his people, and somehow the Daleks have survived. All that stuff.
Yeah.
And he's, and then the 50th anniversary, in something I thought was incredibly audacious, but it worked beautifully. It's a fantastic episode, because it retconned that whole thing. It changed the past.
Yeah.
In only a way that really only Doctor Who can, by altering what happened. They go back in time, and they see how it actually happened, and they kind of affect events. And but the John Hurt Doctor is inserted into canon. He's not a numbered Doctor, he's an additional Doctor.
Yeah.
The John Hurt Doctor, you know, forgets.
Yeah,
and he regenerates.
And Tennant forgets as well.
True. Canon as well,
yeah. But I mean, I'd like to know, was that the way that Russell had intended it to be from the beginning? Or was that the way?
I don't think so, but I think...
You don't think so? Okay.
I think it was... You can say what you like about Moffat and his other stuff that he's done, but that special is so perfectly crafted to fix all the problems in the thing. And it's fantastic. I was incredibly happy with the 50th, and it does introduce...
good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
We
went to where it was filmed. It was incredible.
I mean, I think if you look back at it and you watch it, and when you watch it, it's very seamless because all of the events, when you think back on it, you think, oh yeah, the Zygons were in it, but then you can't quite remember why. But then they're there just to, everything is all.
It's because the Zygon technology is what they used in order to change the past. So
but everything's there for a purpose. And it's like the most perfect mechanism, or the most perfect jigsaw.
Yes, it's like a clock. Everything has a function and everything fits together.
Yeah,
except for that weird spring in the corner that does nothing.
Yeah, but you never. It's almost like as if you never quite fully realise what everything is there for, because you're just so taken in by the amazing, almost film-like
we're just
way.
Gushing, aren't we?
Well, it's very. It's. I don't think. I think it's perfectly rational to say that that's Stephen Moffat's finest hour, and almost certainly New Who's finest hour. I mean, I think it's an accumulation of 50 years of work and 50 years of vision coming together into what can't really be slated as anything other than practically, if someone said to you, right, what is the perfect Doctor Who episode, or what must it have? I think it had everything.
Yeah, I think if the Whovian blog had started then, and because of course during our reviews of Series 8 we didn't actually give the episodes rankings, we just gave opinions. I think this year we're going to start giving them marks. If we had been running 2 years ago, and if we had been giving marks, that would have scored perfectly. I think
I would have given.
And I'd like to voice a slightly odd opinion. I don't quite know if this is true, but you would imagine that they were going to try and get Chris Eccleston into it, and when he couldn't get in, they rewrote it and they added the John Hurt character. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if the intention was always to have John Hurt. But the thing is, I'm very glad if Eccleston's absence is what caused the John Hurt Doctor to be written, I'm very glad Eccleston wasn't in it, because I love the John Hurt Doctor. I think that is perfect. I like him as an actor, as a Doctor, and I think it all fits wonderfully. And having said that, if the idea was always to have John Hurt in it, I would have loved Eccleston to be there as well.
I think the intention was for Christopher Eccleston to be in it, and the intention was very much that Christopher Eccleston had done the things of the Time Warp. Well, he had to have got, because that's the whole nature of the episode. But because they couldn't, because Christopher Eccleston had this strange relationship with the management and all this, that he wouldn't come back, and as a result, they had to bring in someone else. And it was a master stroke, wasn't it? It was a pure, brilliant idea to bring in a massive Hollywood name to play the Doctor. I mean, it's almost like this is how big the Doctor has got, that we've got John Hurt playing him, isn't it? In many ways.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need a Hollywood superstar to affirm to us how important and significant and a massive Doctor Who is, but it really does just highlight once and for all that Doctor Who is. It is.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing, it is like a film. I think you've said that. It's like a great blockbuster. It's got all this stuff. I think we've just sat here for a couple of minutes just going on 50. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's funny, isn't it? Because it was an episode. No episode of, I don't think any program had ever lived up, had ever had that much hype before. And I don't think it would have. I don't understand how you can have an episode with so much hype and then deliver more than anyone was expecting or hoping for.
Oh, exactly.
You know,
there were so many twists in it.
I mean, if you tried to have imagined the perfect 50th anniversary special before you'd seen it, your image would have fallen short of what actually was there. I think in many ways I think that is the most fantastic achievement. Is it exceeded the expectations of everybody who watched it, and I think for a Doctor Who episode to be so unanimously popular, is just brilliant. But anyway, I think we should stop gushing and move on to...
The last thing that I think we can say about the 50th is that Peter Capaldi made a little appearance in it. I mean, it was only his eyes for about 5 seconds, but, you know, it was a fantastic moment because when he got all the Doctors together and the future Doctor as well, that kind of fits in wonderfully. But, yes, and then, of course, Matt Smith had his last episode, he defending this planet, the threat of the Time Walk happening again, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
then we get
that wonderful thing, the first time in the history of Doctor Who, of course, it was done to the Master, it was done in Classic Who to the Master, given a new set of regenerations.
Yeah.
But it's never happened to the Doctor before.
That's Doctor Who history, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is, it's because... anyway, yes, so... and eventually, yes, like you were saying, he regenerates into a much older, much... it's kind of like William Hartnell again, really, and which is... Have you seen the photographs of Peter when he was announced on television to be the next Doctor?
Yeah, when he's got his fingers on his...
He had his hands on his lapels. Let's see if we can find the photograph.
Literally mimicking
William Hartnell. And yeah.
I'm sure we'll have that photograph. Jordan, you can put that in.
Yeah.
But thing is, 12. We're probably the most, in many ways, regardless of how much we've watched Doctor Who, we probably are most familiar with 12 because we've analysed him the most. Haven't we, really?
You and I started doing this together. For the 12th Doctor, which is So I suppose in a way he's the Doctor the Whovian vlog started with.
Yeah.
And so yes, he is much darker, but at the same time, I think having a Dark Doctor makes it even more interesting when he shows other emotions. It makes it more because he's this kind of guardian figure, rather like the Ninth Doctor. You know, he keeps his feelings. I don't know if he keeps his feelings inside or he just genuinely doesn't like anyone.
I like to think he does just genuinely not like anybody.
He's just genuinely just a miserable git. But and he, you know, when he does show his feelings, particularly sort of at the end of the series as well, when he's not found Gallifrey again, it's kind of even more raw and powerful because it's not something he normally does. And so he shows up, he's got his same old companion, but he's
a different man,
a very, very different character.
And a lot was made of his dark character before he became the Doctor, before Series 8 began, and it was very much that of our favourite episode, Robots of Sherwood.
Well, yes.
That is our... I mean, that really had no place in that series. I don't think it had any place in any Doctor Who series.
I like how you and I have this kind of running joke, particularly if neither of you... If our audience hasn't watched Milo and Ben's Cardiff Adventure, I'll put a link to it here as well, because Ben and I went to the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff. And found the Robot of Sherwood display and kind of went, Ben, can you name an episode that we reviewed unfavourably? You know, an episode we didn't like. But the thing is, we hated In the Forest of the Night even more, and yet Robot of Sherwood has become a kind of running joke as a bad episode, which seems a bit ironic to me.
I suppose, to be honest, it's what's quite interesting about both of them is they're both written by amazing writers, Mark Gatiss and Frank Cottrell Boyce. But it's just sort of inexcusable, isn't it?
Yeah, they were rubbish.
They were.
I mean, criticising the writing, we could spend ages doing this because, like we've said, every season there are episodes that aren't good. I mean, there was Love and Monsters, and there was all the other ones that aren't good.
There have been many that aren't good.
Yeah,
but I mean, I suppose that those two stood out in that.
But those are, I mean, all the kind of odd, bad episode is completely worth it for the fantastic episodes. And even the bad episodes aren't actually irredeemable, because some of them do have their sort of moments that are quite good.
And all of them
the episode as a whole is rubbish.
And all of them have Peter Capaldi in, and
exactly.
I mean, his Doctor.
Oh, his
Doctor. It's just a thing to behold, isn't it? Really, it's just it's fantastic, and you know. I think a lot has been made on this channel for his dark nature, and in many ways too much, because it's sort of dark with a confused sense of who he is, and which resolves at the end of Series 8.
And you know what we haven't resolved, of course?
What?
In Deep Breath, because of course Peter Capaldi had played Caecilius, and he sees himself in the mirror and he goes, I've seen that face before. It's like, I'm trying to tell myself something. What is it? What am I trying to tell myself?
Yeah.
We still don't know what he's trying to tell himself, but...
No. So,
yes.
that could be very
There
interesting.
are kind of unsolved mysteries. His whole first series is full of things that need to be explained, and yes, strange, sort of unclosed, or what would you say, loose ends, that's one thing.
Yeah, but I think that lends it nicely to Series 9 and beyond. That
lends it nicely to having a greater feel as a whole series, not just as an annual. It's not like with David Tennant's and Matt's eras, where each season... Each series, every annual series was kind of enclosed, even though they did follow on from each other. It had an arc purely to that series. Whereas actually, Matt Smith had the Silence, which went all the way through. But even then, you know, it was, each year was kind of closed off almost. But I think with loose ends like that, it's if some of them are resolved next year, if some of them aren't resolved next year, it makes it more interesting to have things like that.
Yeah. And also we have to say that we had this introduction of the female master, Missy, for the first time, which is very interesting.
Which is also historic in itself.
What is perhaps more interesting is the fact that we are incredibly of the fact that she is appearing the next series.
Yeah, she will be back.
And we've seen her. She's been on.
She's a fantastic character. I don't think think they could have just had her in for 1-2 episodes. And I mean, she wasn't even in for 2 episodes because she didn't reveal who she was until the end of the first.
Until the end, no. But I think that there are possible rumours that Missy may or may not be in the entire series, and we may have a...
I would honestly like to see the Master become a companion, because he started as, Roger Delgado. Oh, can I do Roger Delgado's full name?
Go on then.
Roger Cesar Marius Bernard de Delgado Torres Castillo Roberto is his full name, but he went by Roger Delgado.
Well, that is a lovely name, isn't it?
Yes, it's a fantastic and long name. It's like the longest name in television, you know. The biggest name in television.
Horrible. Must have been a horrible one on the passport.
Oh, that must be a terrible birth certificate.
Yeah.
Really long. Yeah, that's his... I mean, he appeared in Third Doctor, what was that, 1970? 70-ish, yeah. No, because it was 63 to 66, and so 69-70, I would have said. It's about.
Yeah. Yeah, but we've sort of come to our sort of...
well, we're up to present, aren't we? Because he's still got Clara, even though Jenna Coleman said she would be leaving last Christmas. She didn't.
No. Last Christmas?
I didn't even intend for that to happen.
No, I didn't think you did.
No.
I just thought that was fantastic. That was just...
Well, there you are.
That was just your subconscious Whovianism coming through.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though Clara said, even though Jenna Coleman said she was going to go, we've still got Jenna Coleman. I personally, I don't... There are a lot of people who really don't like Jenna Coleman. I think she wasn't especially bad, but I think it would be good to have a new companion, but...
I think it does almost it almost feels like as if she's overstayed her welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can't help... You can't excuse the people from disliking her because of the simple fact that she has stayed for too long. I think it's... I think we've had...
I think she must have stayed longer than any other companion.
Well...
Amy and Rory were there for a very long time. But even then, you know...
But equally, the problem is not so much how long she's been there. It's equally the fact that when she's been there, the show centered very much around her for the past 2 series.
It's become the Clara show, not Doctor Who.
It has. And people dislike Clara because of that fact. And it's almost like her character and her herself are seemingly unaware of the fact that she really needs to go. But I think thing is when she leaves at the end of this series, because she surely will.
She must do.
Her departure won't feel as grand or as emotional or as dramatic as it would have done at the end of last series, because it's happening too late. It should have happened before.
Yeah, quit while you're ahead. She had a really nice ending with Capaldi.
Yeah.
At the end of Death in Heaven.
She's going to become like the Doctor Who equivalent of Margaret Thatcher. Do you reckon like Stephen Moffat and Peter Capaldi will just come annoyed with her and do like what the Tories did and just kick her out?
And on that political note,
yes.
Well, there you are.
We should do a Whovian vlog election special.
Yes, we should. My word.
We should. You know how they do.
The three of us should run for office. Jordan,
you know how
you can be Minister of Defence.
You know how
then
we did. Well, we've got our titles, haven't we, Milo? We've got our acronyms that we did in Cardiff, didn't we? Right. Yes, that is what happened. But we should do like what they do on election night, which is go through the night and look at the polls and stuff. We should do a Doctor Who or Whovian vlog all nighter.
We could poll who your favourite Doctor is. Which Doctor would you vote for Doctor?
Which party is best for the future of Doctor Who?
Yes.
It's not in any of their manifestos. You know,
no. They need to start targeting the Whovian vote. It could swing the future of the election. You know?
If you voted for the off-beige called. The sort of slightly off beige of a comfortable pair of trousers, I suppose. If you voted for the off beige party, we would guarantee the BBC would retain Doctor Who. In fact, we would make it law that Doctor Who remained part of the minute Doctor Who is cancelled, the BBC would be required to remove the license fee and have all those horrible adverts. So. Vote
there you are. Yes, vote for us.
Vote for the off-beige
but
party.
we have come to the end. That's the story so far, I guess. And now
we can't tell you any more.
We can't tell you anything else. It hasn't happened yet. And we don't have our own TARDIS.
Well, it kind of has happened in the future.
Well, it's been filmed. Yes.
Well, I mean, as in the future, it's happened. So
yes, time is not a strict linear progression. It's a big ball of wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff.
Yes, yeah.
There you are. So I suppose we should thank everyone for joining us, really, because we've done all we can. And please subscribe and like and comment and tell us we're being awful and send all your money and hate mail to PO Box 177.
And also let us know what you think of our title sequence and theme.
Music. And should we start selling shirts with things like the Whovian vlog going off topic since 2013? And,
all of that, of course. Yeah.
Start selling T-shirts. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We can have a little stall.
Little online shop.
Yeah. Why not?
Fantastic. Yes.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for joining me, Ben. Hopefully Jordan will have his microphone working next time.
Yeah.
He's just been sitting quietly in the background
going. He's probably been crying for the past.
He's probably been going. Oh no, I have so much stuff to say and I can't tell them. Oh no.
I haven't heard.
Once we get him back, he won't say a word.
I haven't heard. I haven't out from his house to mine for him to shout. Yes, from the opposite end of the town. Yeah. Anyway.
Never mind.
Goodbye.
I'm listening, waiting, watching. Goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Bye.